Welcome to Provence, France, and the town of Avignon, where 12 strangers managed to meet up at the appointed time and the appointed place to begin 6 days together, hiking, eating, looking, learning, eating, hiking some more, and oh, did I mention eating? Here we are at our first lunch together with Backroads Tours in the little village of La Costa. Backroads Tours is also lovingly known as Snack Roads Tours. After lunch, we wind our way up through the village. It is our first exposure to a typical village perché, a village perched atop a hill surrounded by protective walls. The first hiking highlight is a self-guided tour at the top of the village of what remains of the country palace of the infamous Marquis de Sade, who came to live here in the late 18th century. Today, these days, it is home to a host of colorful animals. Outside the castle, our guides are ready for our exit with the first snack spread. After all, it's been at least 1 full hour since lunch.
So this is the thing about the walking stick. So it's really up to you to take 1, 2, or not take any.
We leave the castle and hike through the countryside made famous by Peter Mayle's book, A Year in Provence. Our backroads guides, Delphine from Belgium and Adeline from France, are both young, strong, and so very capable. Their job? To show us the way and to spoil us. They will be joined the next day by Laurie, who will provide transportation support. This is agricultural land full of vineyards and small hilltop villages. The June countryside is abloom with red poppies and yellow Scotch broom. Of course, we are adequately fueled along the way. Somehow, after one snack stop, a few of us miss a turn and find ourselves a little off trail. Delphine comes to our rescue and leads us back to Minerbs, where we catch a ride with Adeline to our hotel, the Roi de Soleil. Clearly, these old towns were not designed with cars and large vans in mind, but Adeline snakes us through. The next morning, we start with a guided historical tour of Bonnieu.
Fantastic, you're in for a treat, I tell you now. So all these buildings that we're seeing initially are relatively young, okay? So I won't be able to tell you straight away the history of Bonnieu or the history of Provence in chronological order because I'm starting in a new part of Bonnieu. For example, you saw when you were probably in the village of La Costa yesterday, looking across. You saw we've got 2 churches, one at the top and one at the bottom here in Bonnieu. Now this is the new church, we call this the new church, built in 1870. So we have what we call a hotel particuliers, private mansions. And when it's a hotel Dieu, that means God's private mansion, which means it was a hospice or a hospital. So we had the nuns and the convent here looking after the sick and the elderly and the dying. But in the 14th century, suddenly we spread out and we built these big ramparts to protect ourselves. They look even more impressive, in fact, at that period of time, because what we would have had underneath as well is a big ditch Now in 1274, the Counts of Toulouse gave an area of land situated in Provence to the popes. And this area of land is called the Compton Venison. We have goats and we have sheep in Provence. We don't have cows, we don't have enough water to sustain cows. So we have the sheep industry, so what we have with the sheep, well, we have wool, of course. Goats, what do we have? Well, we have the leather industry, and of course using sheep as well, obviously for meat as well. But it was the wool industry and the leather industry that was very, very big. We have the olive oil industry and the wine industry, and I'll be getting to those two subjects, especially the wine industry, subject close to my heart, very shortly. And in this particular village, like several other villages in the Luberon, but particularly this village, we have a huge silk industry. So these villages, those are the traditional agriculture as well, as I said, not only wine and olive oil. Almonds would have been a big industry as well. And of course, agriculture still is a highly agricultural area. You've seen those wonderful fertile plains we've got around us. So we have very hot summers, very cold winters, and these stay very temperate. And that 100-year war that went on for 116 years, starting in 1337, didn't go on all the time. You can't imagine a battle going on for that period of time. So battles were going on, and then there were times, even though they're technically in war, but there was no battles going on. What happened to the soldiers? Very often mercenary soldiers who were fighting these battles, they'd be let off, very often being underpaid. What did these people do? What did these groups of men do? Well, they raised havoc. They swept through Provence, attacking, pillaging, raping. And throughout Provence, we do have these we call them ghettos today. They're called carreras in the Provençal language. Because these were areas where the Jews were allowed to live. They weren't allowed to live anywhere else except in specific areas. And we have several throughout Provence. And very often Jews took on very Catholic names at that point afterwards, hence Nostradamus, Our Lady, very, very Catholic name. And once you became a Christian, you weren't persecuted. Did they keep on their religious beliefs secretly? Probably. But at least openly become a Catholic, you were left totally in peace. So we had a huge influx in 1481 to the Compton Venison, even more so by the Jews who refused to become Catholics. And so these areas would have been crowded in. Now these areas would have been crowded in like the rest of these villages, because as I said, we're hiding behind the ramparts of that period of time. So it looks dismal, it was dismal, they were locked in at night for their own safety, and these would have been the entrances into the apartments, blocks, which of course would have been going upwards and downwards like in the rest of this village. They're not a native tree to Provence. They were imported from, I'm sure you've heard of a mountainous area in Morocco called the Atlas range, and they were imported from there in 1861 from the original water source for this village was here. That's why the village exists, otherwise it wouldn't exist.
The warmest months are July and August. Fence kitchen, full of insects.
So if you think about not doing all of it today,
Following the excellent tour of Bonnieu, and after a few instructions from our guides, we begin the day's hike through the Luberon Valley.
I'm glad to finally be here at the middle of the trail. Yes.
Once again, there are snack stops, and a few of us cash in on a short shuttle option.
So I had to get a new driver's license, but in France it's you can pay up to 1,000. Yeah.
Back on foot, we stop to visit the stone chapel of Sainte Marie and its cemetery still in use. The chapel was built in the 13th century. Holy cow, Europe has history. The United States is a baby in comparison. The hike takes us along ridges overlooking vast agricultural fields of wine grapes, wildflowers, and occasional farm animals. Eventually, we find ourselves on top of these cliffs overlooking the Aigrebrun Valley. What, we say to Adelina, we're going to end up down there? Yep, we heard right. Sometimes hiking downhill is harder than going up, but careful step by careful step, and we'll get there. Arriving just in time for lunch, served Provençal family style. Pass the food. Here we are, eating again. Hey, we've earned this meal.
What is this?
It's the ballon. It's a local cheese.
The next morning, we get shuttled to the start of our hike, Le Pont Julien, a bridge built by the Romans way back in the BC time zone. Really old. So get out the cameras and zip up the jackets, because those little pings atop our head are raindrops.
Well,
This is going to be cold today. I'm not dressed.
But neither rain nor sleet dampens backroads hikers. Well, at least we could all smile for the camera. But it was wet. Remember that sticky mud trampling through vineyards? We all grew inches taller. A stop for a snack keeps us going. Finally, we arrive in Roussillon, a town with uniformly pinkish buildings and blue and green shuttered windows. But the best part, Roussillon is perched along these very stunning ochre cliffs. The walk in the rain was worth it.
I am very impressed. It's beautiful. The different shades of color against the really deep green of the pine. Gorgeous, gorgeous.
After lunch in Roussillon, we hike past vineyards again, and the reward ahead is a little tasting of the rosé wines of Tara Vineyards.
Red, so rosé is easy to drink. You can serve it very cold and
super, super.
Do you? Do you like that one better?
you know like this.
Like it first.
Is there another
We also get a chance to look at the world's largest corkscrew collection. We end our rainy day hike at the village of Gourds, perched 1 kilometer atop a hill, a very lovely climb. From there, we are shuttled to the welcoming warmth and dryness at the Hotel Grenade in Saint-Rémy. The next morning's instruction includes some French lessons.
No, today is just like in the town, so you will just like. Et tu rigoles ou quoi? C'est trop cher. Tu rigoles ou quoi? C'est trop cher.
Because we spend the morning exploring Saint-Rémy's extensive open-air market. Whatever your heart might desire, the market is sure to have,
No, I
and
don't think so.
more.
Así no se equivoca nadie. Lo que está apuntado usted, bonjour monsieur, on peut prendre des photos, c'est autorisé. C'est pas cher.
It's too bad we've already eaten breakfast and my suitcase is already plenty full. So it's all just looking for us. Well, except for one small bottle of truffle oil. Leaving the market, we explore Saint-Rémy, where long ago the Romans and Vincent van Gogh lived. At different times, of course. Our lunch destination is Mas de la Pyramide, the incredible cave home of 95-year-old Lolo and all his furry and feathered livestock. Our guides meet us there with song.
De la patrie, le jour de gloire est arrivé. Entendons la tyrannie. They have also prepared for us an incredible picnic spread.
Cheese, of course. So this is a Comté. I think you know the Comté, right? Then you have some blue cheese. So it's a bit strong. So if you don't like strong cheese, maybe just
Pass that up.
pass it or like take a small piece. Sorry, some red base. And this one is with Provençal herbs, with some fig jam. Is absolutely amazing.
Here we have some charcuterie, so some ham and some dry sausage pork with pork meat that we call saucisson. To keep going with the charcuterie, it's a rabbit terrine that you can just toast on the bread. Another salad just right here, it's a mix with lettuce, radish and pear and some beetroot. And to finish the meal, like, the dessert, some red fruit, but the traditional, like, strawberry tart is right the season to enjoy the strawberries, and the lemon tart with some meringue at the top.
Oh yeah, it's fun to
The ambiance.
They're all part of
They don't
this
jump
one.
with the
You don't want a fork?
Oh, why not?
Well, there's one that has a tree that has a truffles in it.
We should serve me a piece of bread.
We have a vegetarian.
I can help you with the salad.
So we get in line, fill our plates,
What I have?
some of this, some of that,
Big spread that is wonderful.
There's a fig jam.
Big jam there.
Fig jam, and there's some
Tomato salad. Tomato salad.
gosh. With it as well.
Eat your fill.
Lots of I missed a lot of them.
Too much.
They don't have to come back for seconds.
and with plates full, we sit down to enjoy.
What is your question?
What are you eating? Is that the
Lunch.
peanut butter sandwich?
Lunch.
Lunch. There you go.
I have quiche. I have cheese with fig jam. I have salami.
Oh, did you get
I have looks like a quinoa salad, and I have fresh tomatoes that look delicious, and plenty of bread.
Regular salad. This is tapenade back here.
How the food has disappointed you?
It's just, I left, what can I say? It's just, Karen wouldn't eat the almond bread for me, but other than that,
But I tried to feed it to him.
I was able to get it down,
Choke it down.
The fig jam on top of the goat cheese was difficult. It was difficult.
And how has the food disappointed you?
Has not one iota. Incredible. Incredible. Only trip where you walk and gain weight.
Right.
Right.
And they were keeping stuff here.
After lunch, we get a tour of Lolo's house.
It's like they were keeping stuff to make the bread. And this is the oven. Actually, they were making bread deux fois par mois. It's like back to the Roman times again. And they were putting water actually right here, and this is the oven. And he was saying like that, so of course they were putting the bread in the oven, and the neighbors were bringing stuff to make the bread, and they were sharing the bread after. And then the hashes, like they were taking them out and like mixing them with the water. Et qu'est-ce que tu faisais encore avec les cendres?
He grew up here and now lives here alone with his dog. Keep in mind, this home was carved out of a cliff. His grounds were once a huge stone quarry.
Merci beaucoup.
Before too long, we board a bus and leave Lolo, Saint-Rémy, and France behind. We're on our way to Spain's Costa Brava. The bus ride includes a snack too, of course.
To help our leaders out, I would not want them to have to throw away this sparkling.
You can't let me drink it.
That's true, I may have taken it away from them.
After several hours, the bus delivers us to the Hotel Saint-Roch in the coastal town of Calais de Palafrugell.
Do you have any comments on your accommodations?
I think this will be adequate for tonight, and this is what I expect when I go visit with travel with Pete and Nadine.
Yours is right next door?
Yeah, you guys know how to travel.
The views from our hotel and from our hikes along the coast take a great advantage of the incredible beauty of the Mediterranean coast here in southern Spain. While our group is enjoying hiking, other visitors are enjoying exploring the coastline via boats on the water.
Stay in the inside. Don't do that.
Okay, a little speed here now. Remember, you're going downhill. Just another beauty spot.
Beautiful. Yep, got it.
Callao was once a small fishing village. Now it is overrun with tourists seeking fun in the sun. Of course, that includes us. In winter, the population dwindles to a little over 200 sturdy souls. These are the real inhabitants of Callao, the locals.
Yeah, we do have.
We figured since that she was behind us, there was no need to rush, so we just.
Yeah, I was thinking, oh gosh, we're keeping well ahead of everybody. I was following you for a while. We were told you were ahead of us. Yeah, and we thought we were ahead of you. Yeah.
Good workout.
Passing on the dessert.
It's so hard to say no to dessert.
Yeah. Need some more air back there? Good? Oh, good. Well, there we go. There goes the lighthouse.
The next morning, we spend several hours enjoying the botanical gardens of Cap Roig above the village. What a display of color, art, and architecture. Later, we enjoy our final buffet lunch, which leaves a lovely final taste of Spain's Costa Brava in our memories.
Then our credibility plummets.
Yeah, he told me that actually the sandwich was tuna. No, I don't take any responsibility. Just give you the information.
But if it gets stung by a bee, I have to go. You're the problem.
Yeah. Is this hummus?
Technical help.
My name is Mark Armbrust, and I'm from Philadelphia. And I think my most memorable moments were at lunch outside in those beautiful cafes or restaurants with all the stone around and the wonderful views of the valleys.
I'm Christine Armbrust, outside from Philadelphia, and my most memorable moment was probably outside of the cave where we had the picnic and a beautiful spread of pâtés and cheeses and tarts and the roosters and chickens and geese, and that was just a lovely day.
So my name is Chris Hunter. I'm from Arlington, Virginia.
And what's been your most momentable moment along the trip?
Oh, the red cliffs of Roussillon, the red ochre. I just thought that was the most stunning, and the green foliage against the red that looked almost turquoise.
I'm Lynn B. Miller. I'm from San Diego, California, and my favorite moment was hiking through all the medieval villages with the walls and the fortresses.
My name is Jane Duncan. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
What's been the biggest, most momentous thing for you here, the most enjoyable?
I have to say our hike yesterday, we walked up to the lighthouse and then did a hike down to the beach, up through the forest again and down to the beach. It was very spectacular. And then we stuck our feet into the ice cold water at the end.
The water was warm, tropical?
The water was very cold. They were trying to get me to jump off the diving board, and I did not cooperate.
I am Jeffrey White Johnson from Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
What was the most momentous moment on the trip?
On the hiking trip. It was, I think, hiking through the little town of Bonneau. I think I enjoyed that probably just about the most, climbing up and then seeing the old ruins.
Hi, I am Karen, and I'm from Chapel Hill. I'm married to Jeff, and my favorite thing about the trip was meeting Lolo. He's a unique character. 95 years old, living alone in a cave dwelling, basically, and with his animals, his neighbors, and his friends all taking care of him. Very, very unique.
My name is Jim Rutledge, Fraxton, Pennsylvania, which is outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
And what was the most momentous event you found?
Oh, the most momentous was visiting Lolo's house. Lolo's house is probably 500 years old almost. Lolo is 95, and just a beautiful house. It was an old quarry.
My name's Louise Rutledge. I'm from Exton, Pennsylvania, which is outside of Philadelphia. And the most memorable part of this trip was the botanical gardens we went to today at Le Coy.
My name is Delphine and I'm from Belgium.
And what was the most memorable thing that happened on this trip?
Oh my God, so many. Probably I would say the smile on all your faces, because if you're all smiling, it means that we're making a good job. So I'm very happy that I share all this week with you all guys.
And what was the worst time?
The first day, actually, when I lost you.
I'm Adeline, I am from France.
Where?
In the Loire Valley.
And what was the most memorable moment of this trip?
I would say it was during the walking tour here in Calella, where we are right now in Spain. It was the sun on the sea. The sun offers very light colors on the sea, and I really enjoyed that time. I was very happy to share and to experience this trip with you in France and in Spain. It was great. Thank you.
My name is Lori, and I'm from San Francisco, California.
And what do you do here?
Well, I am supporting the trip with Backroads, so I was your support leader for the week.
What was the best thing that happened all week?
Oh gosh, the best thing. Well, I always like showing everyone Lolo's house at the pyramid. It's really unique and interesting.
That's sweet. Okay, thank you so much again. Take care of yourself. Have fun in Barcelona, in Madrid, and where are you going? Just maybe last one question. Do you have any idea how you know Backroads trip is over? You have to carry your own luggage by yourself. Take care of yourself.
Take care.
See you soon. Bye. All the best.
All the best to you.
And so they sent us off into the sunset. We're on our own again.